Hello, welcome to this YouTube video where I'm going to show you everything that you need to do to secure your Office 365 tenant. Let's get right into it. Okay, so if we start with our first step, what you're going to want to do is enable multi-factor authentication. Now, why do you want to do this? So without multi-factor authentication, if someone gets hold of any user's credentials through phishing, password sprays, or brute force attacks, they're going to have full access to your tenant. So how do we enable MFA? Well, let me show you. Right, so you want to log into your Azure Entra portal. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Conditional Access Policies. So if we do a search for that, Microsoft Entra Conditional Access. Now, what we can do is we can use templates that Microsoft already provide. So if we click on Create New Policy from Templates, and you want to select Require multi-factor authentication for all users. And if we click on View, we can see what this is doing. So it's going to apply it to all users, excluding myself. So what you always want to do is you want to make sure that you have at least one account that doesn't have MFA in the event that something happens and then no one can log in, or one user can't log in. Right. It's going to apply it to all apps, and it's going to require users to use MFA. Now, what I recommend doing first is set it in report only mode. The reason for that is you want to monitor it for a few days if you're going to deploy this out into production, or maybe you could do it gradually, only target certain groups of users just to test it, just to see how it works in your organization. So I've got it in report only mode. I've given it a name, hit create. Now that is being applied in my tenant, and over the next few days I can just monitor it, see how it's going, and then decide to apply it. So to look at your policies, just simply click on policies, and here you can see all the ones that I have. So here's the one that we created, and if you want to further fine-tune it, like I said, if you want to only select certain users, you can target groups, exclude users, so you want to exclude at least one person, so it's automatically excluded myself. And you can further target certain networks, exclude networks. You can set different types of conditions. So we'll discuss that more later on in the video. And if you want to view the impact it's currently having, you can click View Impact. It's not showing anything yet as we've just created it. And then when you're ready to enforce it, you just simply click on and save. That's it. Okay, so on to the next item. So the next item on the list is to disable legacy authentication. So why do we want to do that? Well, legacy protocols like IMAP, POP3 and SMTP auth, some of them don't support MFA, and they're often exploited by attackers to bypass security. So disabling them eliminates a major attack vector. How do we do that? Well, let me show you. Right, so back in the Azure portal, we're going to use another conditional access policy. And again, we can use a template. And here you can see block legacy authentication. If we click on view, you'll see that it's going to target Exchange, Active Sync clients and other clients that support legacy authentication, and it's going to block access. So again, you can either apply this or you can apply it in report only mode,
and see what happens. Also, another thing that you can do, as we discussed previously, is only target it to certain groups. So I'm going to enforce it for all users on hit create, and that's it. You're now blocking legacy authentication. And again, if you click on it, you can further fine tune it by selecting certain groups, excluding certain users. Perhaps you need to use legacy authentication for certain users or apps, and you can lock it down, you can lock it right down, exclude certain users, only allow certain networks, and fine tune it if you do need to use it. And that's it. On to the next one.
Right, so the next one on the list is protecting your Azure admin accounts. So I'm sure this is pretty self-explanatory. You want to make sure that your all of your Azure admins account have unrestricted access. So again, we're going to use conditional access policies for this. So if we go back to the portal, so we're going to use another template, and on above here you'll see different tabs. So if we click on the Protect Administrator tab and require multi-factor authentication for admins, and this will target all of your admin roles in Azure. Now, one thing I should point out, which we spoke about earlier, Microsoft recommends excluding one emergency account. So you should have one emergency access admin account locked away with the password secure somewhere, in the event that you can't log into your Azure tenant using MFA. This will exclude it from your policies. And also you want to check if you've got any service accounts or service principal accounts that could be in an admin agreement, like the Microsoft Entra Sync account. You want to make sure that they're excluded as well. So I'm going to apply this now and hit create. And that's that one. On to the next one. Right, number 5 on the list is auditing and reviewing Azure sign-ins, your sign-in logs regularly. So the reason you want to do this is you want to review your sign-in activity to help detect any abnormal or malicious logins, such as risky sign-ins from unknown locations. And how you can do this is within Azure, you've got full access to all of your different sign-in event activities. So what I'm going to do is, if we open up the next screen, so what do you want to monitor within your Azure Entra ID sign-in activity? So you're going to want to have a look for any unusual sign-in locations. So if you're based in London, and then all of a sudden you notice you've got sign-ins coming from Dubai or Australia, that could be seen as unusual activity if all of your employees are located in London, or IP addresses not associated with your corporate VPNs or trusted devices. You're going to want to look at lots of high number of failed login activities, legacy authentication protocols, or MFA bypass, or sign-in events by some of your global admins accounts that shouldn't be logging in out of hours, for example, or if users are installing new Azure applications. So the best tools to use that are Microsoft sign-in logs that I'm going to show you in a second. You can also use Microsoft Sentinel, which is their SIEM tool. You can also use Microsoft Defender for cloud apps that I will show you also. Or you can also use us, Infrasoft, which I'll show you in a bit, where you can set alerts, run different types of reports to see if users are logging in from different countries, unknown locations, or users logging in without any MFA enabled. Okay, so let's show you how to do this in the Azure portal. Right, so in the Entra portal, If you click on Microsoft Entra ID, and then on the left, if you scroll down to monitoring, and then sign-in logs, and this will show you all the sign-in activity in your tenant, and you can go through and look at the IP address ranges, look at the locations. If it'd be good to see if your conditional access policies are being applied. If they're not, then you can drill down and find out why. You can have a look to see if they're using MFA. You can export the results into CSV and drill down into it. You can add filters. So you've got lots of different filters you can apply, which is very useful. So this is like a basic way to review your activity logs. And obviously if you've got hundreds or thousands of employees, this could get quite difficult to manage. So let me show you another way to monitor your sign-in logs. So the other tool that you can use is Microsoft Sentinel, which basically ingests your Entra sign-in logs via diagnostic settings in log analytics. And you can use KL queries to detect risky logins that correlates with Defender data if you're using Microsoft Defender, and trigger playbooks. So this is like really advanced if you've got like an enterprise SOC or you want automated responses and for deep investigations. So someone in your security team would probably look for something like this. It gives you a detailed dashboard where you can see alerts over time. You can see where users are logging in from. You've got threat management where you can have a look at incidents, workbooks, threat hunting, threat intelligence, lots of different features that I'm not going to go into detail in this video. Perhaps in the next video, if you want me to go into it in more depth, leave a comment. And then a third solution I'm going to show you. The next option is our product, Infrasoft, which is an online SaaS solution that has hundreds of pre-built Office 365 and Azure auditing and reporting, where you can report on hundreds of different sign-in activity across Azure, Exchange, Teams, SharePoint, all within this portal. So here you've got an overview dashboard where you can see all the important metrics in your tenant. You can flip between tenants, so if you've got several tenants or if you're an MSP and you've got hundreds of different clients, you can get instant access to reporting data. So we've got hundreds of different pre-built reports that you can customize your own reports. You can export them, schedule reportings. In the future, we've got alerting feature coming up, so you can alert on different sign-in activities. So for example, you can audit all of your admin login activity, MFA reports, mailbox usage, external user activity, license reports, group reports, all types of user reports, recently changed users, Azure lock users. And we've also got on-premise Active Directory reports if you're using on-premise Active Directory. So this is another way to monitor your sign-in activity if you don't want to be using the Azure portal. Something a lot more easier would be something like this. Right, on to the next one. Okay, so on to number 6. We want to configure email authentication called SBF, DKIM and DMARC. Why do we want to do this? Well, these protocols help prevent spoofing and phishing by verifying the sender's identity, which is your primary domain names that you use in your corporation. So steps to do this are, so for the SPF, which is the Sender Policy Framework, you're going to want to log into your DNS provider. So you're going to want to ask your web team or who's ever in charge of your domains. You're going to want to log in and add a text record for the SPF, which you can see there on the screen. And to test it, you can verify it using mxtoolbox.com, which is very useful. And then for the DKIM, which stands for Domain Keys Identified Mail, Purpose for this is it adds a cryptographic signature to verify the message was not altered and was sent by your domain. So you can do this within the Microsoft 365 Admin Center, and within there under DKIM there's a setting to enable DKIM, and you may need to first create CNAME records in your domain DNS, and again you can verify that with the MS Toolbox tool. And then the third one, domain-based message authentication, reporting and conformance. And the purpose for this, it tells receiving servers how to handle emails that fail SPF or DKIM. It also provides reporting. So again, you're going to want to use your DNS provider and add a text record that looks something like this. And again, you can verify it using the following tools. Okay, so that covers that one, and then on to the next one. Right, number 7 is protect sensitive data across Microsoft 365, so emails, Teams, SharePoint, using Microsoft Purview. So why do you want to use Microsoft Purview? Well, it's a great tool that will detect insider threats such as data leaks and compliance violations, and it will improve your overall data governance and risk posture. So basically, Microsoft Purview will protect your sensitive data. It will comply with regulations such as GDPR, HIPAA, ISO 27001, and it's what serious organisations and CISOs care about, especially in regulated industries such as finance, healthcare, legal and government. So let's have a look at this Purview dashboard. So here's the Microsoft Purview portal, and here you've got the overview dashboard of all the different areas. So data catalog, information protection, insider risk management, audit, compliance, alerts. It will give you compliance posture status, posture breakdown, other different activities, compliance assessments, risk management. So if we have a look at something, so I've just deployed this before the video, so it's probably going to have some empty sections. So if we look at compliance, communication compliance, you've got different messages in there. So investigate messages that contain inappropriate text. So this would be good to create a policy if you're in finance and detect if any employees are sharing credit card information, and to set up an alert or block the emails from being shared. They're the types of policies that I see corporations setting up, or create a policy that detects any sensitive information about your internal data, or you don't want any internal documents being shared externally, so you can set up policies for that. What else have we got? Compliance Manager. So this will give you an overview of your compliance score, and you can drill down and improve certain things. So let's have a look. So enable self-service password failed because that's not enabled in this test tenant. So this will show you all the different items that you can improve within your Office 365 space that you can help with your compliance. And if you need to share it with any compliance government boards, it's quite good. So yeah, there's so much information in here that this needs a dedicated video in itself. So if you want a video on this, let me know in the comments and I'll create a video about Microsoft Purview, and we can go through all this stuff and set it up. Okay, so that covers that section. What's next on the list? Okay, so number 8 on the list is you want to regularly run security and compliance assessments. The reason why you want to do this on a regular basis, it's important to constantly monitor your Azure configuration, detect any security gaps, misconfigurations, and to stay compliant with standards such as the Azure Center for Internet Security Benchmarks, NIST, or GDPR. Now there's a couple of tools that you can use this to check for Azure misconfigurations and detect any configuration drift. Microsoft Secure Score and an open source tool called Prowler, which I'll show you in a second. So let's log into Microsoft Secure Score and I'll show you how it looks. So here is Microsoft Secure Score. It's part of Microsoft Defender. So here you'll see on the dashboard, my score in this tenant is 23%. So you can see that's quite bad. So it gives you a breakdown of different areas that shows you the scoring. So identity, data and apps. And it will give you a list of all the recommendations that you can do to improve your score. So if we check on recommended actions, Microsoft will provide a list and the recommended actions and the impact score when you address it. So if we say, click on turn on self or safe attachment in block mode, it will show you the steps to implement it. And then once you've performed all the recommended actions, if you come back here after 24 hours, once it's updated, it will show you the new score. And if we look at other items, so exposure management, it will give you your security posture of your Azure tenant. So here you can see my CIS, which is the Center for Internet Security Standards for Microsoft 365 Foundations benchmark is at 18%, which isn't very good because this is a test tenant. It's got my identity score, SAS score, external attack surface protection, no data available. And it will go through and give you lots of good recommendations on how you can secure your tenant by applying lots of different configuration settings. And you can have a look at your attack surface, critical asset summary, so asset management. It will give you an indication if you've got any exposed or critical devices. It will give you a score so you can monitor over time if it's going down, going up. Yeah, it's quite a good tool, this. So again, as part of Microsoft Defender, have a look and see how you can improve your score and see if your configuration is changing over a certain amount of time. It's good to monitor that as part of your detection drift management. So I want to show you the next tool. So the next tool I want to show you is it's available in the Azure Marketplace. I'll leave the link in the description. It's a cloud security assessment tool that allows you to monitor the security posture for not only Microsoft Azure, but Microsoft 365, AWS, Google Cloud and Kubernetes. And it covers all of the main global standards such as CIS, NIST, ISO, HIPAA, GDPR. And here's some of the screenshots of how it looks. If you want a video on this, I'm happy to do a video. Let me know in the comments. And you can automate this to run every day and email you a list of new findings that it finds. So as I say, it's an open source tool. If you want to check it out, link is in the description. Right, on to the next one. Okay, so number 9 on the list is use conditional access policies. So we covered some of this at the beginning, but I just want to highlight this again about how great it is to use additional conditional access policies. Other items you want to set up are how users access data based on risk, location and device state. So we covered setting up MFA for all users in your tenant with exceptions for the admin account. We covered block authentication protocols. But another policy that you should set up is only allow access from trusted locations. So you want to get a list of your Office IP address ranges and VPNs and apply those as an access control policy and only allow users to log in from those devices. And if not, apply a block to those locations. So you can use Microsoft name location features. So it just helps block users logging in from impossible locations. Another one to apply is require compliant or hybrid Azure AD joined devices. So if you're using Microsoft Intune, you can apply a policy to only allow devices to log in if they're compliant. So do they have all the correct Windows updates applied? Do they have antivirus software installed? Do they have firewall set up? Stuff like that. You can apply it to Exchange Online, SharePoint. Require MFA for admins, so we covered that earlier. Another one is to apply conditional access to service principals. So you might have service principals applications set up that use these service principals. So you want to set up a policy for that to block risky apps. This one, block access when risk is high. So within your policy, there's certain settings where you can set it so block access or require MFA if Microsoft Azure detects that the risk is high, which is a very good option to have. They use Microsoft machine learning to automate the protection. Another setting is users must accept corporate terms of use before accessing Microsoft Office 365. So this is just an extra option if your company needs to meet compliance requirements and legal obligations. Require app protection policies for mobile access. So set up a policy to enforce app-based restrictions using Intune for Outlook and OneDrive. So this is a policy that prevents users from copying and pasting data to their personal storage. Exclude break glass accounts from CA policy. We spoke about that earlier. And all these options we spoke about earlier. So here's a list of the suggested policy categories. So one for identity protection, block risky sign-ins. One for location, block access from outside approved locations. Device compliance, so require Intune compliant or domain joined devices. App sensitivity, require MFA for SharePoint, Exchange, Teams. Admin controls, enforce MFA and session limits for privileged roles. Session control, use conditional access app control. And that's it for that. So definitely worth making sure you've got all your conditional access policies set up and configured. Okay, on to the next one. Okay, number 10, secure external sharing and guest access. So if you're using SharePoint, it's important to monitor and restrict how users are sharing data with external users. So let me show you some important settings that you should check within your SharePoint Admin Center. Okay, so when you're in your SharePoint Admin Center, on the left-hand side, if you scroll down to Policies and Sharing, here you can see the settings that are to control sharing at the organization level in SharePoint and OneDrive. So there's a link there to learn more documentation. So basically, some of the settings, you can limit external sharing to only a set of approved specific domains. Allow users in specific security groups that are allowed to share. So this would be a good option if you want to block all users but only allow certain users in a security group. So for example, if users in HR need to share documents externally, only allow users in a HR group. Allow guests to share items they don't own. Guest access to a site or OneDrive will automatically expire after so many days. People who use a verification code must authenticate 30 days. You can set some restrictions on file and folder links. Choose the type of link that's selected by default when users share files and folders in SharePoint or OneDrive. Again, have a look at the settings and apply certain policies. If we look at access control, you can further limit access. So restrict access from unmanaged devices that aren't compliant or joined to a domain. Automatically sign out users from inactive browser sessions. Only allow access from specific IP addresses, and block access from Office 2010 and other apps that can't enforce the base restrictions. And now there's an advanced management section, depending on what licenses you have, and this will apply policies that Microsoft provide that have all different types of access policies that you can apply to your tenant. So more information about that is an overview. And it's basically SharePoint Advanced Management is an add-on to Microsoft 365 that helps IT admins with a powerful suite of tools to boost their content governance through the Microsoft Copilot deployment journey. So it's another new tool that Microsoft have got that's worth checking out. So that's it. That's basically the basics of setting up sharing policies for SharePoint and OneDrive. Thanks very much. And that is basically it for this video. So if there's any other items around Office 365 and Azure security that you want me to cover in more detail in a new video, just let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to share that. And again, check out our InfraSAS product. That is a SaaS portal that provides Office 365, Azure AD and on-premise Active Directory reporting and auditing. Thanks very much, and I'll see you in the next video.